into the unknown.
This explains everything.
The loveliest lies of all.
Let's recap for a moment. The series revolves around our main characters, Walt and Gregory, who are accompanied by a bluebird named Beatrice, who helps them on their journey to get back home. The show is literally an experience for the audience as we venture through the world of the unknown, meeting woodsmen, the undead dressed up as pumpkins, and even a gorilla. There are peaceful moments in the show that are really atmospheric, and right when you think all is calm and quiet for now, something pops right out of the shadows and scares the crap out of you. And I thought watching the intro to Are You Afraid of the Dark was hard to sit through when I was young. The characters are quite an interesting bunch and are what I believe to be the different aspects that make up the show. Walt is a bundle of nerves and is always on full alert for potential danger in the world around him and tries to find a logical explanation for the supernatural. Gregory is the comedic and optimistic side of the story in order to balance out the darker portions of the show. And lastly, Beatrice is the driving force for the team that stays level-headed throughout the series, acting as the voice of reason for what needs to be done. So let's talk about their adventures into the unknown. The group is headed to Adelaide in order to get back home, and along their journey they came across schoolyards, taverns, and mansions. Oh my! Is that Slender Man? Oh wait, that's just the beast that roams the forest and seems to have business with the woodsman involving his daughter's flame from going out. My mistake. And another thing, if you paid any attention to the intro in chapter 1, you'll notice that all of these random clips are actually foreshadowing future events in the series. So our heroes make it to Adelaide, and Beatrice was going to trade them in order to become human again.
What a twist!
If that wasn't surprising enough, a witch is actually shown dying on screen. This show just goes all out with the dark themes, and I am just so excited that horror-based cartoons are not totally extinct yet. Even the next chapter is more frightening than this one. Trust me, do not watch this episode at night. This is the stuff that nightmares are made of. So if you're wondering where did all this begin, well, chapters 9 and 10 explains it all. After Gregory wanders off with some help from the beast that roams the forest, Walt attempts to look for him but falls into the river and is out cold for a while. He then seems to reminisce the day they ended up in the unknown, and what comes out of this story is something truly amazing. Walt is on his way to confess his feelings for a girl named Sarah, but seems to lack confidence in himself and comes across as an antisocial individual, whereas Gregory is still his optimistic self who helps out Walt with his task and gives the tape to Sarah's friends, who inform him that a kid named Jason Thunderburger is going to ask her out at a Halloween party. Now I know what you're thinking, Walt is a big loser, right? Actually, he's pretty much the opposite of that. Everyone is thrilled to see him, and Walt seems to be completely unaware of this, especially with the fact that his competition is nothing more than an average nobody. This guy really has low self-esteem issues. Hey Dr. Wolf, I think I found your next patient. So after heading to the cemetery in order to get the tape back, Walt and Gregory climb over the garden wall, and yes, this is where the name of the show came from, and after avoiding a train, they fall into the river where this whole journey begun. There is also something in this scene that has me baffled. Are Gregory and Walt actually stepbrothers? This would explain their different views and behavior towards each other. It would seem plausible since Walt is more focused on himself at times and treats his brother as more of a nuisance. As we head back into the unknown, we are given another look at the woodsman who comes across Gregory being taken over by some branches, and this is apparently what happens to lost souls in the forest that the woodsman didn't know about. This just got really dark for a kid's show. I mean, lost souls being turned into trees and given to the woodsman to cut down and turn into oil? These are the kind of stories that most horror movies are missing nowadays. In order to save his brother Gregory from becoming wood chips, the beast offers Walt a deal to keep his brother's spirit alive at the cost of him becoming the new lantern bearer, and it turns out that the light in the lantern is actually the spirit of the beast who turns out to be the woodsman's daughter all along. The episode is just full of surprises. So in the end, Walt and Gregory wake up from their trauma, and everything seems to be going well for them now. As for the other stories, they seem to be doing well for themselves, but it's not clear whether or not they actually happen, but just the narrative alone of these stories are enough to convince you otherwise. Overall, this was indeed a marvelous experience for the characters and the audience as well. The stories were very creative and the animation was top-notch. The tone really captures the essence of those old grim fairy tales, and the music is something worth listening to as it adds into the ominous environment. As Gravity Falls is to Disney and Avatar is to Nickelodeon, Over the Garden Wall is to Cartoon Network without a doubt. This is something I hope to see more of in Cartoon Network's future. If you haven't seen the show yet, then I highly recommend you see it now. As for me, I'm off to see another story, a story which begins in hello and ends in goodbye. I'm Record, and I watched it, you did too, it's a rerun.
The loveliest lies